days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. We're talking about the murder pick, the 187. It's on our mind, and we're going to be discussing some of the players potentially the 49ers could target in this range.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the Niners are... Well, we don't know at this point what they've actually done, but what we do know is what they are trying to target, right? And they're trying to find players with certain amounts of impact at certain positions. And the further you get into this draft, the harder it is to necessarily find guys who are going to be not only making the roster at this point, which feels like a loaded roster, but are going to fulfill the things you need and maybe have what you're looking for. But there's still going to be available names. There's still going to be options. And we're going to talk about them. So make sure you hit that like button right now if you haven't already. And Ant, who's the first guy? Who's the first guy you're looking here at 187 and going, this makes sense here. I can see San Francisco doing this.
Yeah, I'm looking for elite things, right? So I think one of the guys that I'm really looking for in this spot is Cole Turner, the tight end from Nevada. Potentially he could fall this far, and if he does, having a 6'6" frame, being able to win on jump balls is something that I'm interested in. A red zone threat, potentially you could bring in and be an improvement as your third tight end. He will have to develop his blocking ability as an inline blocker, but that's not really what you're going to ask him to do initially. You're going to put him on the outside, match him up with safeties and with smaller cornerbacks that he can take advantage of. He's an absolute red zone dynamic threat that you can use in a variety of different ways. And I think he'd be a nice addition to what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on offense and something different from what you have. Because right now, you do not have a jump ball kind of player. This guy would give you that. And from the tight end position, it would provide a lot of value for this team.
It provides huge value, and huge value for this team. Cole Turner can do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. And I know some people may be sitting there and being like, yeah, that's true, guys, but it's tight end this late. Talked about impact, right? Can this guy make the roster? Well, I think so. I don't know if this is necessarily a worse option than a guy like Ross Dwelley with the size that he has. I don't know if he's necessarily an upgrade in terms of your blocking option, but it doesn't feel like a downgrade, and it does feel like it would be an upgrade in the wide receiving category in terms of what he can add to your wide receiving room, especially in the red zone.
Yep.
Something that as of right now, Ross Dwelley is not impactful in that area. That's more saved and more akin to a George Kittle-esque role at this point in time. But maybe you didn't hit on running back earlier, Ant. Maybe you didn't improve the running back room. Maybe that guy just wasn't there. And if that's the case, there are still guys that are going to be available at the spot. Ty Chandler is a guy the Niners have met with that we have talked about and mocked a few times to the San Francisco 49ers, where if you're looking to improve RB3, right, the third down back in the backfield, Ty Chandler would be a solid option right now at this spot with where he's going. He's a guy that's ranked closer to being in the top 150 of players in a lot of sites and a lot of places like him a lot. I like this top end speed. I like what we can do as a receiving back out of the backfield. There's a lot of developmental work that goes into Ty Chandler's game. But if you're talking about elevating the room and being able to potentially replace a JaMychal Hasty, this could be the guy to get the job done.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, that's a solid idea going running back, especially for a third down back. But I'm going to go for another guy that can bring some pressure off the edge, and linebacker James Houston out of Jackson State. I think this guy has a lot of potential. Started his career off as a Division I guy and then went ahead and moved on. This guy's a big-time talent, though, and he could transition into a 3-4 outside linebacker. He has those sort of skills, but as an edge rusher, he is absolutely dynamic. The fact that he's going to fall this far does not negate the fact he could make this roster. That's how much I believe in him. He has elite traits as a pass rusher. He's able to bend the corner. He has elite power when he gets his hands on you. So I think this is a guy that the 49ers could target in that spot. So I'd be willing to go him at 187.
We talked about defensive interior alignment as well. Haskell Garrett is kind of in this range as well. Do you think this is a guy that the Niners will actually consider targeting? We did see that they've talked to a couple interior defensive linemen, the gentleman at Stanford that most recently that they discussed and talked with. Could this be a guy that they're looking at a spot like this?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, when you get to this point, right, these are guys that even if they don't make your roster, you're going to try to get them to your practice squad. Going with an interior defensive lineman ensures the fact that potentially you have the depth needed to get through training camp. And then if he is somehow good enough, and Haskell Garrett does have an elite first step, if he is somewhat good enough to make your team, then you feel like you've upgraded. If not, you try to stash him on your practice squad. I think this is one of those guys that he would definitely make sense if he was still around at 187.
True. Sterling Weatherford as well, safety out of Miami, Ohio. If he's still available at this spot, you're starting to get to a spot where his value is really, really high in terms of a guy who is a safety and they probably could play linebacker. And look, the Niners could improve the linebacker room, and if they had this guy coming in, he kind of fits the bill and fits the mold of what they look for in a linebacker and a former safety.
Yeah, tremendous size, and definitely one of those guys that would be transitioning from safety to linebacker for the Niners. I don't see them using him as a safety, but linebacker, putting a little bit more size on his frame, that would make a lot of sense. And we know the 49ers do like speed, and they don't mind their linebackers to have some height, which he does at 6'4" and 226 pounds. Very nice frame. So yeah, that'd be a solid selection. I think some really good options there at 187.
There's a lot of good options here at 187. The question is though, Ant, if you had to make a selection, who are you thinking the Niners are taking?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with Cole Turner, the tight end. I think this is a spot, if you didn't hit on tight end earlier, you weren't able to get somebody at 105 that could potentially change the game for you. You go get somebody that does something different than anyone else on your team. We don't have a jump ball guy. 6'6", provides that for you. And now he's a mismatch for safeties and corners out wide, and that's something you want, because even though you love George Kittle as a receiving threat, he's not a jump ball guy, but this guy wins consistently. This guy's a ball hawk with the ball in the air. Like I said, he's like Clifford Franklin. He's the only one catching. He's the only one coming down with it.
No, I get you. I get you on that. Cole Turner does feel like a really good option and a really good selection right here at this spot. And I typically wouldn't disagree with you here, but if you can go get a Justin Houston, this feels like it would be a solid selection there. The things he could do, what you could do in terms of the developmental edge rusher, if you missed on Amari Barno a few picks earlier, or maybe let's say you grabbed a guy early as an edge rusher, or you didn't grab a guy early because the name just wasn't available. If you missed early, you missed on Barno, this would be the next best option, and you're getting incredible value for a guy like that and what he could do and what he could become at 187.
I definitely wouldn't hate that. This guy's got an aggressive streak. I like the player for sure. So I would be down with that. I mean, pretty much most of the guys we talked about, I'd be down with 187 because I think that all of them have the potential to make your roster because they provide something different from some of the guys you have on your team currently.
Very true, but TCC, what do you think? Who is the guy at 187? Who is the guy that you're looking at going, San Francisco needs to take this gentleman here? You have to do it. It is a must. We want to hear from you in the comment section down below right this instant. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, and because they don't want to miss any more of the content. We're only at pick 187. We still got 220. We still got 221, and we still got tons more videos coming your way. Don't miss out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation. We're all building towards the draft. It's going to be an exciting time. 49ers are going to make some moves that potentially are going to change 2022 and maybe even the future.
We'll see what happens, and we'll catch you on the next one, TCC. And until that time, stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.
You stuck around all the way to this point. Well, I hope by this point you've at least liked and subscribed if you haven't already. And there's some cards over there, Ant, too, with some other high quality videos they can check out.
Yeah, click one of the links and watch one of the videos. It's going to be great.
We'll see you there.